I see families and friends who shared our darkest times together. I see a medical team. They fought for us when we shouldn't fight for ourselves. I truly stand here humbled and honestly amazed. Because the truth is, I don't remember much about it. I don't remember the alarms, the rush, the panic. I was in a medically induced coma and everything was happening around me. I was completely gone. But here's what I do know because the people I love told me so. The ECMO team, led by Dr. Rice, traveled from Plano to McKinney to save my life. Before they could do anything, Dr. Rice needed Susie's consent to proceed. He pulled her aside and said no words no one ever wants to hear. We need to roll him and ECMO him. But if we rolled him, he'll probably die. But if we don't, he would die. At that moment, Susie realized how close to the edge I was and how close she was to bruising me. They rolled me. They ECMO'd me without even knowing what was wrong yet. They just knew I was dying. But they refused to let that be the end of my story. Once I was stabilized in ECMO, I was flown from helicopter in McKinney to White House. When I arrived, they were struggling to understand what was happening inside my body. They believed I was septic and had an infection in my heart. Something so severe, it was shutting my body down. But even then, they didn't have the answers. Their priority became clear. Find a surgeon we had to take. And when they finally did, I was transferred this time to Medical City, Dallas Heart and Spine. And then this is when the real storm hit. At Medical City Heart and Spine, I died on the operating table. They hit me with pressors because I was bottoming out. My kidneys failed. I went into third spacing, took on 40 pounds of fluid. The fluid caused the skin on my arms to rip apart. I ended up losing 3 toes on my left foot, and I ended up losing my right leg. There was one complication after another, like my body was trying to fluid at every turn. But somehow, against every odd, I did. And that's why I'm here. That's why we're all here. While I was unconscious, while machines were breathing for me and pumping my blood, the darkest moments weren't mine. They belonged to the people who loved me. My family, my friends, and especially Susie, my rock. The one who held steady while my world collapsed. She stayed by my side for 15 days straight. For those first 10 days. 10 days in a coma. 8 days she didn't know if I was brain dead. But she never left my side once. Stayed right by. And I know every survivor in this room has someone like that. Someone who held us up when we couldn't even stand. They deserve the recognition as much as any of us. When I finally woke, it wasn't the doctors who made me understand how far gone I had been. It was my ECMO nurse at Heart and Spine, Anne. See, she had been off work for several days, and when she returned, she walked slowly past my room and gave me this little temp beef. I'd just come off the respirator, my mind wasn't fully clear, and I waved back. Susie saw me. She went over to Anne, she gave her a hug, and she brought her into the room and said, "Shane, this is Aunt. She was your ECMO nurse." I whispered, "Thank you, Anne." Anne looked at me. She began to trim me, her eyes filled with tears. And she said, "Never in my life can I expect to return to work and see you alive." It was at that moment that I really realized how far I had gone. How much I'd been through and how much I fought. But I don't tell this story to put the spotlight on me. I tell it because it's what ECMO is. ECMO isn't just a treatment, it's your last chance. The lifeline drawn when nothing will save you. It truly is a miracle machine. Probability is not in favor, survival is not guaranteed. But somehow, on that day, we were chosen to live. And the teams, the doctors, the nurses, the specialists, they performed with precision, skill, and something deeper than medicine in that moment on all of us. And because of them, we are here today, all of us. Yes, I lost my leg. Yes, there was complications. Yes, my body failed in ways I still do not understand to this day. But none of that defies me. What defies me is this. Here I am. Here we are. Still breathing, still living, still writing our stories. There's only two things that are guaranteed in life, and that's we're born, and one day we will all die. Everything between that, that's our novel. Those dark days didn't close my book. It opened a new chapter. A chapter I intend to fill with gratitude, purpose, and life. To the medical staff, you didn't just save our bodies, you saved families, futures, and lifelines. To families and friends, you kept us alive when we couldn't fight for ourselves. To my fellow survivors, we didn't just live, we lived. We definitely lived. If you can take anything from me tonight, let it be this. A closed chapter is not a finished story. We're all here for a reason. Thank you.